When we talk about insulin, most of us immediately think of blood sugar and diabetes, but that's only a small part of a much bigger, more fascinating story. Insulin is one of the most powerful hormones in your body, acting as a master regulator of your metabolism. It's not just about blood sugar. It's deeply involved in fat storage, energy levels, and your ability to lose weight. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, eating well, exercising, but the scale just won't budge, understanding insulin might be the key you've been missing. Let's unpack this carefully, because this hormone could be the silent director behind your body's entire metabolic performance. What insulin does. To truly grasp insulin's power, let's follow the journey of your food. When you eat carbohydrates, whether from a piece of fruit or a slice of cake, your digestive system breaks them down into a simple sugar called glucose. This glucose enters your bloodstream, causing your blood sugar levels to rise. This rise in blood sugar is a signal. It alerts your pancreas, a small organ tucked behind your stomach, to get to work. In response, specialized cells in the pancreas called beta cells release insulin into your bloodstream. Think of insulin as a key. Its main job is to travel through your blood and unlock the doors to your body's cells, primarily your muscle, fat, and liver cells, allowing the glucose to get out of the bloodstream and move inside where it can be used. Once inside the cell, one of three things happens. First, the glucose can be used immediately for energy, powering everything from your brain functions to your muscle movements. Second, if you don't need the energy right away, your body stores the glucose for later. It links these glucose molecules together into a chain called glycogen, which is stored in your liver and muscles. This is your short-term, easily accessible energy reserve. But here's the crucial third step. When your glycogen stores are full and there's still excess glucose in the blood, insulin directs your liver to convert that extra glucose into fat, which is then sent off for long-term storage in your fat cells. So insulin is fundamentally a storage hormone. It's designed to put energy away for a rainy day. When insulin is high for long periods, hyperinsulinemia, often due to insulin resistance, the body tends to. The system works beautifully when it's in balance, but problems arise when insulin levels are constantly high. This usually happens because of a condition called insulin resistance. Imagine you keep knocking on a door. At first, the person inside responds right away, but if you knock constantly, day and night, they start to ignore you. This is what happens with your cells. When they are constantly bombarded with insulin, due to a diet high in processed carbs and sugar, or a lack of physical activity, they become less responsive. The locks on the cell doors get rusty. In response, your pancreas thinks the signal isn't strong enough, so it shouts louder by pumping out even more insulin to get the job done. This creates a state of chronically high insulin or hyperinsulinemia, which has profound effects on your body. First, it puts your body into permanent fat storage mode. With insulin levels always elevated, the signal to store fat is constantly on. But even more critically, high insulin actively blocks your body's ability to burn stored fat. It does this by inhibiting an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase, which is the key that unlocks your fat cells to release energy. So even if you're eating fewer calories, your body can't access its own fat reserves for fuel because insulin is standing guard, keeping the fat locked away. This is why people with insulin resistance can feel tired and hungry all the time, even while carrying excess body fat. Their body is literally starved of energy at the cellular level, the idea of an optimum insulin level. This brings us to a crucial question. What is the optimum insulin level for health and weight loss? The first thing to understand is that there isn't a single universal number that guarantees weight loss for everyone. It's highly individual and depends on your unique physiology. Instead of a single number, it's more helpful to think of an optimum range. This isn't just about being low, it's about being effective. Optimum insulin is usually the range where your blood sugar is well controlled and stable, without dramatic spikes and crashes that leave you feeling tired and craving sugar. And most importantly, your insulin sensitivity is good. This means your body responds beautifully to insulin, so the pancreas only needs to release a small, appropriate amount to do its job. This state is often called metabolic flexibility, the ability for your body to efficiently switch between burning carbohydrates when you've eaten them and seamlessly switching over to burning your own stored body fat for energy when you haven't. When insulin is low and stable, your body is a fat-burning machine. When it's high, you're locked into being a sugar burner. So how do we peek under the hood and see what's going on? Doctors look at specific tests. The first is a fasting insulin test. This measures how much insulin is circulating in your blood after you haven't eaten for 8-12 hours. While a standard lab report might consider anything under 25 ml as normal, many functional and preventative medicine experts argue that for optimal metabolic health, a fasting insulin level between 2 and 8 ml is a much better target. Levels consistently above 10 or 15 can be an early warning sign of developing insulin resistance, even if your blood sugar is still normal. The second more powerful tool is called HOMA-IR. This stands for Homeostatic Model Assessment of Insulin Resistance. It's a calculation that uses both your fasting insulin and your fasting glucose numbers to generate a score that reflects how hard your body is working to maintain stable blood sugar. A score under 1 is generally considered ideal. A score over 1.9 suggests early insulin resistance, and a score over 2.9 indicates significant insulin resistance. Therefore, instead of aiming for a specific weight loss insulin number, the real strategy is to improve your insulin sensitivity. It's about making your cells listen again. When you do that, your body naturally needs less insulin to keep blood sugar normal, which in turn unlocks your fat stores and makes weight regulation feel less like an uphill battle. Lifestyle factors that optimize insulin sensitivity. The good news is that insulin resistance is not a permanent sentence. You have incredible power to improve your insulin sensitivity through lifestyle. Let's start with diet. The goal is to minimize large insulin spikes. Focus on whole, unprocessed foods. Fiber from vegetables, beans, and whole grains slows down sugar absorption. Protein and healthy fats have a very minimal effect on insulin and are crucial for satiety, keeping you full and satisfied. This means reducing or eliminating refined carbs and added sugars, things like soda, candy, white bread, and pastries. These foods hit your bloodstream like a tidal wave, demanding a massive insulin response. For some people, more structured approaches like a well-formulated low-carbohydrate diet or time-restricted eating can be game changers. By limiting carbs or confining eating to a specific window, you give your body an extended break from producing insulin, which can dramatically improve sensitivity over time. Next is exercise. Both resistance training and cardio are fantastic. Resistance training builds muscle, and muscle acts like a sugar sponge, giving you more storage space for glucose as glycogen. More muscle means more places for sugar to go without needing a huge insulin push. Cardio exercise helps burn through that stored glucose and improves your cell's overall metabolic machinery. But you don't have to live in the gym. One of the most effective, simple habits is to take a brisk 15-20-minute walk after your meals. The gentle muscle contraction helps your body immediately use the glucose from the food you just ate, significantly blunting the blood sugar and insulin spike. Don't underestimate the power of sleep and stress management. Even a single night of poor sleep can make your cells as insulin resistant as those of someone with type 2 diabetes. Chronic stress keeps your body flooded with the hormone cortisol, which tells your liver to release sugar into the blood, forcing your pancreas to work overtime. Prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep and incorporating stress-reducing practices like meditation, deep breathing, or spending time in nature are not luxuries. They are essential for metabolic health. Finally, weight loss itself creates a powerful positive feedback loop. Losing even a modest 5-10% of your body weight, especially visceral fat around your organs, can dramatically lower fasting insulin and improve your HOMA-IR score. So, as you adopt these habits and start to lose weight, it becomes easier to lose more weight because your underlying metabolism is healing. Practical takeaway. So, let's bring this all together. The optimum insulin level isn't a magic number you chase. It's the outcome of a healthy, responsive metabolism. It's the lowest level of insulin your body needs to keep your blood sugar in a healthy range. For fasting insulin, that often means a level under 10 ml, and ideally closer to 5. But the exact number varies. Instead of fixating on a number, the strategy is to focus on the behaviors that reduce insulin resistance. When you do that, your insulin levels will naturally fall into their optimal zone, and weight regulation becomes a natural side effect of a healthy body. If you want to measure this for yourself, if you're ready to do some detective work on your own metabolism, here's the plan. First, talk to your doctor. Explain that you're interested in your metabolic health and would like to request 2 specific blood tests, a fasting insulin test and a fasting glucose test. Remember to specify fasting insulin, as it's not always included in a standard panel. You'll need to fast for 8 to 12 hours beforehand. No food, only water. Once you have those 2 numbers, you can calculate your HOMA-IR score. The formula is your fasting insulin level multiplied by your fasting glucose level, divided by 405. You can also find easy-to-use online calculators for this. Most importantly, discuss your results with a healthcare professional. These numbers are powerful clues, but they need context. A doctor can help you interpret them based on your age, weight, family history, and overall health. For example, a patient might have a normal fasting glucose of 90 mg/dl, but their fasting insulin is 20 miu/ml. Their HOMA-IR score would be 4.4, indicating significant insulin resistance that the glucose test alone would have missed. This single piece of data changes everything. The focus shifts from just calories in, calories out, to strategies that specifically lower insulin. Understanding your insulin status is like getting the user manual for your own body. It empowers you to make targeted changes that work with your biology, paving the way not just for weight loss, but for long-term, vibrant health. Calculating your HOMA-IR score is straightforward. You only need your fasting insulin and fasting glucose values from a blood test. The formula provides a snapshot of how these two are interacting. There are two versions depending on your lab's units. If your glucose is in mg/dl, common in the US, the formula is HOMA-IR = fasting insulin miu/ml x fasting glucose mg/dl 405. If your glucose is in mol/l, standard in many other countries, the formula is HOMA-IR = fasting insulin miu/ml x fasting glucose mmol/l 22.5. Once you have your score, what does it mean? Think of it as a metabolic report card. A score under 1.0 is optimal, showing high insulin sensitivity. The range of 1.0 to 2.0 is also considered healthy. However, a score between 2.0 and 2.9 is a yellow flag for early insulin resistance. A score of 3.0 or higher is a red flag, indicating significant insulin resistance and a higher risk for prediabetes. These are great benchmarks, but always discuss your results with your doctor. Let's walk through an example. Imagine your fasting glucose is 95 mg/dl and fasting insulin is 10 miu/ml. While the glucose looks normal, HOMA-IR reveals more. We multiply 95 by 10, then divide by 405 for a score of about 2.35. This falls into the early insulin resistance range. It shows the body is overproducing insulin to maintain normal blood sugar, a clear sign of inefficiency. This is a signal that lifestyle changes could help bring that score down below 2.0. This leads to a key point. Don't fixate on the number. HOMA-IR is a tool to guide you. The real goal is improving your body's underlying insulin sensitivity through sustainable habits. When you do that, the number naturally improves. So, let's build a practical step-by-step plan to do just that. First up is food and nutrition. The goal is to stabilize your blood sugar and avoid big insulin surges. Build your meals around 3 key components. Always include protein like eggs or fish. Next, choose high-fiber carbs like oats and leafy greens to slow sugar absorption. Finally, add healthy fats from avocado or nuts for satiety. At the same time, it's crucial to limit refined carbs and sugars, like white bread and soda, which cause the sharp insulin spikes we want to avoid.